I want to ask you, though, how do you convince more young people who have learnt through school and through universities and maybe through the internet that Australia is causing bushfires and all that sort of thing? I mean, how do you educate and try and convince those young voters who have been deciding elections now that we don't need to be going so aggressively in this way?
Yeah, I mean, that's the million-dollar question. I mean, in many ways, this is like letting a fish out on a fishing reel. We've let it go out about 2,500 kilometres out onto the ocean, and the process of reeling it back in is very, very difficult because we've allowed children to be lied to about the climate issue and the climate hysteria. And that starts way before any of us could imagine. I mean, that goes back 20, 30 years. Certainly at school, those kids have been coming through. And I think this is my great criticism of the right of politics of all shapes and models, is you can't expect kids to not be listening to the sweet siren song of the left. I mean, you look at what happened in New York last week with the election of the new mayor there, who's running around saying, I'm going to hand out free stuff. The same applies here. We just simply haven't sold a vision to young people, a vision of hope and prosperity. You start off, kids now saying we've got to get $1 million in our pocket before we can afford a very start-up house. And then on top of that, all the bills we've got. Young men tell me that they simply are afraid to ask young women out because they can't afford the meal to take them out anymore. The right has to take responsibility for this because we expect Labor and the Greens to labour in the Greens, but we don't expect the right to acquiesce in some form of polyester version of the left. And that is where the blame lies over the last 20 years, frankly.